9 games on MLB's Thursday slate. There was supposed to be 10, but in the most Mets ending to the season ever, they'll be playing a doubleheader against the Bravos coming this Monday. But we still got actionable info coming your way. Cardinals, Rockies, Rays, Tigers, Marlins, Twins, Orioles, Yankees, Padres, and Dodgers. Best bets, sides, totals, player props. You're going to get it all because two of the best in the biz are joining me for the penultimate edition of First Pitch here on WagerTalk TV, and that is Tokyo Brandon. It is Adam Trigger. We'll find out what these guys have up for clients, because as football keeps on rolling, these guys just keep cashing here on the diamond. TB, you know that well, since it's always a point of consternation when you join the guys on Wager Talk today. That's for sure. But Brandon, let's talk this Cardinals. Yeah. You always got to be consternation with Prez, man. You know that. 3:10. We do have a lot of day games here, so we'll get to as much as we can here for you. About an hour and a half till the first game is going to be going off. That's Brewers and Pirates. So we'll try and hit as much as we can for you leading up to those pitches. But Cardinals and Rockies is the game that you're eyeing. 3:10. This one starts. Really, it's two teams with not anything to play for, let's be real. But the Cards are eyeing a series sweep now, as really it looks like they're just looking to have someone to capitalize on for next year. I mean, the ending of the year has been strong here for the Cards. I get the opponents that they're playing, but you think they continue this kind of high note that they're swinging towards, Cards and Rockies today?
Yeah, I'm actually going in the total side here. Yeah, it's nice to have a press-free zone. So you can actually talk about sports instead of talk about what I'm wearing
or your chest hair,
somewhere, or some Netflix show or something. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice. So press-free zone, very nice. And we're talking baseball. I realize it's football season, but baseball is where the money's at. We all know that. So, yeah, we got the Cardinals and the Rockies. So, knee-jerk reaction, bet the over because it's in Colorado. But I say not so fast, my friend, in the words of Lee Corso. We got Kyle Gibson and Kyle Freeland. It's Kyle on Kyle violence today. We got two teams that bat pretty mediocre right now. Two teams that are playing for nothing. We have one decent bullpen, one poor bullpen, but what I like is how the starting pitchers perform against the other team. We got Kyle Gibson, who pretty mediocre numbers, but against the Rockies, he has great numbers. He's got 46 at bats against, pretty big sample size, a 196 average against, and a 557 OPS against, which is great numbers. Freeland, decent numbers against the Cardinals, but what I really like is how he pitches at home. How can you be a Rockies pitcher and have better numbers at home than on the road? I don't know, but he does. Granted, he's only 2-1, but he's got a 3.75 ERA at home in 50 innings pitched. So he pitches really well in this ballpark. We got two teams that don't really hit. I think 10.5 is way too high. So I'm going to put a small bet on the under here, and it went under yesterday as well. So yeah, I like the under in this one. Two teams mediocre and two pitchers who really fare well against the other.
Yeah, great breakdown there. Tokyo Brandon eyeing the under out of the gate there at what he has affectionately referred to as the monkey ballpark there in Colorado, Coors Field. Trig, some questions coming in here already. So guys, we will hit on some of these for you. Some folks asking about, the A's final game in Oakland. Is there any motivation there? We'll get the guys' thoughts on that. And then folks asking about this early game, Brewers and Pirates. We were talking about that before we came on, as far as the Brewers being locked in to their seeding. So how does that affect betting them down the stretch here? But the game that you wanted to touch upon here at the top, we'll get to those ones. We got best bets coming up, folks. Hit that like button, subscribe, and that little bell will get you notified here. We would appreciate it. But Trig, Tigers, TB alluded to it. He's like, how do they keep doing this? It's like the Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad meme, how do they keep getting away with this? The magic number's now sitting at 3 for the Detroit Tigers. 7-1 win last night. Now they're looking for the sweep. They got a series against the White Sox on deck. So things are turning up here. And what was a foregone, this team is dead in August, the Tigers are playing like a playoff team right now, and the schedule is setting up nice for them, especially if they can get this game today. Is that how you see it shaking out, or you may be looking the other way?
Well, I'll touch on the question, how are they doing this? I think it's pretty simple. One, they have a very good farm system, and they've had a lot of players come through that have come up this year. I mean, this lineup at the beginning of the year was essentially the Toledo Mudhens lineup in a lot of cases. And you can even count Spencer Torkelson, who went down for a good chunk of the season. The other way they're doing it is just the rest of the American League just struggling mightily since about June. But listen, you go back 40 games, Dan. They're the best team in Major League Baseball. They're 29-11. Their last 40 games. Best record in the majors in that span. They're almost a lock at this point to make the playoffs with the schedule that they have left, which was something that was almost impossible just 2 months ago. Maybe like just 6 weeks ago, not even 2 months ago. But I do think if you're looking at to bet this game today, you have to acknowledge the fact that the market has priced in the need to win against the team that has, quote unquote, nothing to play for here. I think you're going to see that a lot over the next couple days. And I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the Tigers beat the Rays in 9 innings of baseball with how this sets up for both teams here. And it's something we'll get into with some of the other games, because I know Tokyo Brandon has opinions on this as well. So first I'll start with the Tigers pitcher. It's going to be Reese Olson. It's his third start back from the IL. He has a shoulder strain. His first 2 starts back, 50 and 58 pitches. I don't think they're willing to risk him here. I don't think he goes more than 60. I think that's like pretty much a hard stop, maybe 60, 65, which, is not a big deal because the Tigers have completely mastered the art of this like bullpen game, piecing it together, have a guy go 1, have someone come in, go 3, have the next guy go 1. We saw it yesterday. They had, they needed 6 1/3 of scoreless relief. Well, 6 1/3 of relief to win yesterday. And they came in and put up zeros for almost 7 innings out of the bullpen. But they did that yesterday, right? So some of those guys likely not available today. I'll point out Olsen did get blown up by the Rays the only time he saw them, which was late last year. So a lot of the same guys in the lineup. But, I think the bigger thing is the fact that, the Tigers for another 6 innings today are likely just using bullpen arms. Should they be a $1.80 favorite under that, scenario, or a $1.75, 70 favorite, whatever they are now? Probably not. Jackson Jove is awesome. He just got called up. He's the top pitching prospect in the minors right now. That just got called up to the bigs. But they used him out of the pen last night to make his major league debut. He was excellent as expected. I thought they might give him a start, but it looks like that tells me that they want him in the postseason out of the bullpen. And it also pretty much they confirmed in the post game last night that they're not going to use him in back-to-back days. So you likely don't see him here as one of those bullpen arms. So again, this more comes down to the price. If I'm betting this game today, which I'm not, but this is we're making a case for the games on the board. I have to look at the Rays plus money, maybe even a +1. Tyler Alexander, he's nothing special, but you know what? He spent 5 years in Detroit prior to last season when he was released, signed by the Rays. So, maybe it's something personal for him. He's going to want to pitch well. And he did pitch well last time out, 4 1/3 scoreless against the Blue Jays. And, the other thing it's worth pointing out with Alexander specifically, he's got some tough luck numbers this year. Like his ERA being in the mid-5s is a little harsh. The underlying metrics for him suggest that he probably should be better than that. So I think he could keep the Rays in the game here. And the other thing is the Rays, for the most part, have just been a 500 team all season. They're 2 games under right now. They've kind of been a game under, a game over all year. They're not going to make a playoffs, but this is a competitive baseball team. And I don't think they're just like no-showing this series. They competed against Skubal 2 days ago. So at +150, if you were going to bet this game, you have to take a shot with the Rays at that price. It's the only way to bet it.
Tree might not be officially playing that one, but he is officially playing a 5%er in some day game action today. You can grab that over at his page right now, wt.buzz/AT. Guys, let's hit some of these questions here and appreciate them. Keep those comments coming. Let us know what best bets you're looking to eye, or if you have any questions here for the experts over the coming minutes here on the show, we'll hit you before we got best bets coming in. O's versus Yankees and Marlins taking on the Twins. But a lot of folks want to hear about this Padres and Dodgers game because it's another one with major playoff implications. The Dodgers, with that magic number sitting at 2, they can make it, what would it be, 11 out of the last 12 being the NL West champs if they can get it done here today. Brandon, any thoughts in that game? This one people have plenty of time to get to. Don't worry, folks. We'll hit that early game for you coming up next year. But as far as Padres and Dodgers are concerned, this is one that everyone has an eye on for sure. But for Dodgers fans, maybe they're not that excited about the starting pitcher that they're heading to the mound. You know, the old Bueller. It's Ben Stein standing at the front of the classroom just looking for a win for Bueller, because it's been tough trying to find those stacking up. TB, how are you betting this late night game?
All right, here's my
well done.
Anyway, so yeah, we got Walker Bueller and Joe Musgrove, and obviously Joe Musgrove is performing better this season. He's performing better over his career, but against these Dodgers, he has horrible numbers throughout his career, and it's a huge sample size of 189 at bats. These batters are tagging him for a 307 average and an 842 OPS against. So Walker Bueller, oppositely against the Padres, has performed great in 157 at bats against. He's held them to a 185 average and a 546 OPS against. But we all know Walker Bueller used to be much better than he is right now, or at least he used to perform better than he has performed this season. Dodgers have the lineup advantage. Bullpen's pretty equal right now. Surprisingly, the Dodgers bullpen is performing quite well. Padres are, in my opinion, the Padres are probably the best overall team as far as bullpen, starting rotation, and lineup. I think their lineup is pretty much toe-to-toe, almost toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. I think the 6 through 9 slots, the Dodgers have a bit of an advantage. But overall, I'm not going to bet a side on this because it's just too unpredictable. Musgrove should perform better, but given past performances, Bueller performs better. So it's kind of a push for me on that one. If anything, I would take an over in this one because probably most people think that Musgrove will hold Dodgers down. I don't think he can hold them down, and I don't think Bueller can hold San Diego down. I see this one going way over, actually. It's not an official play for me. I haven't put it out to clients, but if anything, I would bet over in this one.
Looking towards the over trig, as it's a marquee matchup. Definitely feel free to give any thoughts on that one. But on the other end of the spectrum, folks want to know what you're thinking about this Pirates and Brewers game, because you and Tokyo Brandon was the fact that the Brewers are basically locked in, right? You know, you saw that 2-1 loss aid the Phils in making sure that they were locked in, getting one of those bye seeds. It's a foregone conclusion, obviously, that the Dodgers grabbing the other, so it kind of ties in to how you would maybe bet this game. But the Brewers, really nothing to eye, nothing to play for. They're basically locked in. Does that affect maybe how you would bet these games moving forward? Or do you just stick to the plan because you don't want these players to kind of get lax heading on into the playoffs? Because I think it makes an interesting note against a team with the Pirates who really have nothing to play for sure.
Yeah, so I just want to say I thought TB did a brilliant job breaking down Padres Dodgers, and I very much agree with the over. I won't go too far into that game other than to say Musgrove is not what he typically been during his career right now. He's battling back to that. Bueller certainly isn't what he's been throughout his career right now. And you have two of the best lineups in baseball, and the total is 8.5. I can't believe it. It's like it almost seems too easy that would only be 8.5. It feels like there's runs all over that game, especially with the first two games of the series being tight or low-scoring games. big, bullpen arms had to come in and get high leverage out. So TB, I'm entirely with you there on the over 8.5. It actually almost makes too much sense. Like I'm not a huge totals player, but that one is like, I don't know how that doesn't go over. Anyway, on to the Brewers and the Pirates. I think my general statement about this whole quote unquote meaningless game is this: like, the players show up to play. I do think there's merit to the thought that after a team clinches and everyone goes out and gets rocked and has a great night and is hanging out and doing whatever they want, that they come out flat the next day. But I don't believe that, like, players aren't playing at 100% at any time they step on a Major League Baseball field. I don't think these guys take that for granted, and I don't think it means the Brewers are not going to give an effort. Now, what it does mean, and where you can sort of find edges, is the managers are going to manage as if it doesn't mean anything, which means the Brewers are not going to have top bullpen arms out there, in back-to-back days. It means guys are going to get at-bats. They're going to spread at-bats around. So that's really something to keep in mind over the next 4 days as the Brewers play quote-unquote meaningless baseball. It doesn't mean they're not trying to win. So as far as this game is concerned, when I look at this matchup, Savale on the mound for the Brewers, I think it's Keller on the other side. Yeah, Mitch Keller on the other side. I mean, just matchup alone, I give the Brewers a pretty big matchup edge here. All things considered across the board. I'm not going to bet it because it's a tricky spot. It's a noon start. It's a kind of a getaway day. But I feel like you're going to have people looking and saying, oh, well, the Brewers are locked into the 3 seed, so let's bet the Pirates here. And I just don't think that that's like a good handicap. I would lean toward the Brewers, but I not something I'm going to bet on.
Yeah, very fair there. TB, other game that keeps coming up here in the chat, and feel free to add on to that one as well. But we would be remiss if we didn't at least touch upon this A's game, as a rare occurrence is going to happen for Oakland today. And that's having a stadium full of fans, right? Sellout crowd, it looks like, should be there today. 57 years of baseball coming to a close as the A's will no longer be playing there in Oakland. So, minus 105 up to minus 110. You basically got pick 'em pricing here. I know it's not a sexy game, but I feel like if you just love baseball, it's like a A's money line play today, just to send them on their way. Any thoughts here for the folks who are maybe looking to just bet the situational? They're gonna win their final game for the Gipper, right? Rangers and A's, quick for you, TB.
Well, final game or not, and Adam and I were talking about this before the show, but players are always trying, whether they're in the playoffs, out of the playoffs. The players are always trying. So let's not get too carried away with they got to win this game or whatnot, because, Padres, Dodgers yesterday, Dodgers really, but the players are always trying. It's not that they're not trying. The person who can control the outcome of the game is the manager by putting in his crappy players. Because even the crappy players are trying, the good players are trying, but I really don't have much of an opinion on this Rangers-A's game, because neither team can hit. The A's are hitting a little bit better right now, currently. But we have two kind of unproven pitchers in Ginn and Rocker. And Rocker's got amazing stuff. He's got some command issues, but he's an amazing. He should be amazing once he can get used to the major league level. But right now, too unreliable to bet on. If I could go back to the Brewers game, I do have a client play on that game, but it's going to start very shortly, so I'll just give it out for free here. If you look at how Savale and Keller perform against each other's teams, each other's lineups, Savale has a huge advantage. And despite this being a nothing game for both teams, the Brewers still are interested in keeping their guys warm. They're, because they're going to be going to the postseason, they want to keep guys warm. And when there's no pressure on guys, they really get the old adage is grip it and rip it. So I think the Brewers are going to grip it and rip it here. Savale has amazing numbers against these batters, and Keller has horrible numbers against the other team. Brewers overall are just a better team. So my client play is on the Brewers. I think -113 or -120 is just incredible value. So I do have a client play on that. It's going to start in an hour. So for those of you who are watching the show, you get a bonus play there.
See, this is why it pays to play and watch live here, folks. The #1 all sports profit guy of 2024. He just gave you a free client play. So more reasons than ever, folks, to tune in live here. Guys, let's talk some best bets here for the folks. Speaking of why you want to tune in live, Trig, I'll start with you. Marlins and Twins. You're looking at a Twins team. We talked just, basically all show long about teams that get pigeonholed into this must win. And must win doesn't always mean will win. As a matter of fact, sometimes means the exact opposite. That's really what you're seeing for the Twins. 0 margin of error that they basically have the rest of the way here as they're taking on the Marlins. You got a best bet in this one. You also have a 5%er going, and Trig, football this weekend as well. Let folks know what you have over at your page and let us know what the best bet for free is on the show today.
So I'll start with what's up on my page. 5% MLB play. It goes in a couple hours. It's in a day game, so head on over and grab that. I'm 9-3 in my last 12 MLB plays. While everyone's struggling on the gridiron right now, me and TB just cashing MLB plays left and right. I've hit 4 straight plays across all sports. We're going to make it 5 this afternoon. So go grab that. Starts in a couple hours. WT.buzz/AT. As far as this, now listen, I've come on over the last couple months and made a case for the Twins, and I'm here to say, like, this team sucks. They're not a good team. Baldelli manages. He some of the stuff he does is real questionable. I don't see how he wins games in the postseason. I expect them to miss the playoffs. I retract what I said maybe 3 weeks ago. And I know I bet on them last Friday. I got a win, and I still think they're in the mix because other teams are not playing great either. This is just a team you got to play against right now for a couple of reasons. And I think the only way to play them is to play against them here. And I'll be honest, if I make a second client play for today, it will be the Marlins against that run line +1.5. So finally the Twins come out of their slumber to win a game yesterday. I mean, they're in a huge playoff race, had lost 3 straight, had dropped the first game of this series against the Marlins, which is like totally inexcusable, but they do win yesterday. But what happens? Simeon Woods Richardson lasts 1 inning, and they need to use 8 innings and basically cook their entire bullpen, which isn't great to begin with, in a game where, they need 8 bullpen innings to get a win as a $2 favorite. And that's actually, so the thing that's really saved them and kept them in this race so far is they were able to convert Lewis Varland to a reliever, and he's been awesome. He's a guy that was in their starting rotation to start the season, didn't really work out, went down to AAA, got called back up, didn't really work out, back down to AAA, and since they recalled him, he's been a reliever, and he's just been nails. He kept them in that game on Friday that I cashed with the Twins against the Red Sox. And then yesterday he comes in 2 1/3 scoreless relief, but he threw 48 pitches, and I don't think you'll see him today. Another thing the Twins have going for them is Justin Topa made his 2024 debut yesterday. He's been hurt all year with tendinitis. He finally makes his debut. He looked good, but there's no way they're going to throw him on back-to-back days, coming off of an injury that's cost him the whole season to this point. You're going to get Griffin Jackson, Johan Duran, who are both extremely solid relievers at the end of this game, but both of them pitched yesterday. So I can't see Baldelli going to them for more than an inning. And the way Baldelli manages, he's probably only going to them with a lead. He's probably not going to go to them in a tie. He might go to one of them in a tie game, but he knows that if he burns both of them, then he's not going to have them for the weekend, and that is would be like a cardinal sin at this point to manage his way to not have both of those guys for tomorrow. So I think he'll commit to one here and not both. Again, you're talking about just hanging around in a game. That's important because you get to the other bullpen guys, and that's where there's a real issue. And that's what I've been saying was going to cost this Twins team the playoffs was their lack of middle relief, and it really could show up here. The reason it could show up here is David Festa has not been great second time through the order. So this is a kid I really like. I think he's got a very bright future. His stuff is solid, but go look at the numbers. Second time through, he's not as good. And now he comes off throwing a career-high 103 pitches in that game on Friday night against the Red Sox, which went into extra innings. Twins pulled out a win. But that's a lot of pitches for someone that's already getting up there in innings, already getting up there in pitches for this year. And he still only lasted 5 innings because he's not super economical, especially when he gets to the second time through the order. So you can just about guarantee that Festa's probably in for 4 or 5, even if he's really good. Even if Festa's really good here, probably 4 or 5, and the Twins are going to have to go to some of these lesser guys, Sands, Thielbar, all guys that are very prone to giving up runs in the middle of this game until they get to Jackson Duran at the end of this game. Because the guys like Varland, who have been holding it down in that spot, he's not available today, and Festa's probably not going to go deep. On the other side, Valente Belloso he's just an average dude. I've watched him in the minors, like nothing special, not super highly rated. I bet TB doesn't have him very high on his chart of pitchers, but he's going to frustrate guys in this league for a lot of years because he goes out, makes competitive pitches, finds a way to get through 5 innings and keep his team in the game. And I kind of think he's going to do that here. Wallner is now out for the Twins. He hit the IL after, I think, yesterday's game. Royce Lewis has been hitting sub 200 for weeks now. The Twins lineup finally scored some runs yesterday, but this has been a lineup that's really been struggling over the past couple weeks. I think they're way inflated at minus 250 here, and I'm going to kind of see how this afternoon goes. I want to see what the Marlins trot out for a lineup in this game, but very tempted to take Marlins plus 1.5 today.
Looking towards the Marlins, best bet there for Trig and grab the true best bet. 5%er rocking today with a man on a terrific baseball run right now. WT.buzz/AT is where you can find that one. Tokyo Brandon, you've just been cashing year after year, month after month. Number one, last 3 days, last week, last 30 days. So any way that people want to win, they can win back in Tokyo Brandon, the man with the style to match the record. The best bet you have here for the folks is in this O's and Yankees game. And I don't know, TB, maybe the Yankees are just looking to sell some more tickets towards the end of the year, keep making their fans wait. I keep seeing our friend Ariel Epstein posting, tonight's the night, that they're going to get their AL East crown, and it has not been the night for our friend there. Tonight, great pitching matchup, interesting handicap, Cole versus Burns. And that's probably why you want to chop this one in half. What's the best bet for the folks at TB? And what'll folks find over at your page when they partner up with the number one capper that we got?
Thank you. Yeah, before I get to that, let me just talk about what Adam just talked about. I don't really have much on either one of those starting pitchers, but I have Miami ranked way higher than Minnesota in batting and bullpen. So Miami is definitely a team that you can take as an underdog because they're actually outperforming the number almost night after night. Does anyone remember Laverne and Shirley, the Lenny and Squiggy? Night after night, I held you in my arms. Anyway,
of course you work a song
go to YouTube and search Lenny and Squiggy Night After Night. It's really good stuff. But anyway, my best bet, as you said, is in the Yankees and Orioles game. And the only play I have out today right now is the one I just gave to you guys because you're such great viewers and because you're loyal to us. That's all I have out for today, but there are monthly and daily packages, and I do have something planned for tomorrow. Looking at the lineups, I'm sure I know pretty much what the numbers are going to be tomorrow. I'm probably going to have a big play in Major League Baseball tomorrow. So right now, that's about all that's cooking. So let me tell you what I've already put out to my clients as well in the Yankees and Orioles. It's pretty much low-hanging fruit here. It's the under first 5. And the reason I'm doing that is because, frankly, both of these teams have reputations for, cranking the ball. But right now, they're both performing rather mediocre at the plate. I have the Orioles ranked 16, and I have the Yankees ranked 14 at hitting. So pretty mediocre there. Orioles bullpen underperforming. But this is crunch time, and the Orioles actually have a chance to take the AL East. Don't tell Yankee fans that, but everything has to fall perfect for them. They have to win the rest of their games, and the Yankees have to lose the rest of their games. I would love to see that happen because I do have a future plus 250 bet on the Orioles to win the AL East. Not looking good at this point. But their bullpen's underperforming. The Yankees have a great bullpen, but the starting pitching, unbelievable. Corbin Burns, I'm a huge fan of Corbin Burns. Ever since he was with Milwaukee, I thought he would be the key to the Orioles winning the AL East. Didn't turn out that way, but against the Yankees, he has a 145 batting average against and a 411 OPS. And I've said this in previous shows. Since my scouting days, I take 750 OPS as kind of an over-under. 750 is pretty much Mendoza. Anything under that means the pitchers is dominating the batters, and 411 means total domination. So Corbin Burns has been dominating the Yankee batters. Judge is 0 for 6 against him in his career. Not a huge sample size, but overall he has 76 at-bats against these guys, and he's killed them. Cole, on the other hand, I shouldn't say on the other hand, because Cole has been fairly decent against these Baltimore batters as well. 166 at-bats against, 253 average, and a 713 OPS. So not quite as good as Burns, but pretty good. I like the first 5 under, and I saw this at 4.5 on DraftKings for -20, but the book has it listed at 4 for a little bit of plus money. I would stretch that out to the alt and take under 4.5 in the first 5 for -120. I think it's a good bet. And if you must bet the side, I think the Orioles are going to take this one just because of the starting pitching advantage. But that's not a client play.
For sure. Just don't get too creative and go with the first 5 under is the play there for our man, Tokyo Brandon. You can check him out, and maybe we'll have him post some karaoke videos to his page as well. But you can find him on Twitter at Tokyo_Brandon. Maybe he'll post some of those there. You can find Trig at Adam Trigger WT on your social channels as well. Folks, appreciate you tuning in, making us a part of your busy day here. Less than half an hour away. We got the WagerTalk Today crew coming in. Prez and Teddy going to be getting you some plays alongside Marco D'Angelo, the Mad Russian, and Kyle Anthony breaking down the UFC card this weekend. So don't go anywhere, folks. Make sure you're subscribed here so you're knowing when we're going live. On the way out, hit that like button. Comment below what your best bets are. We'll be chopping it up with you through the evening. We will be back locked and loaded in another edition of First Pitch. Coming your way tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. on the West Coast. Until then, best of luck, folks. Cash those tickets, and we'll see you back here locked and loaded for the final edition of First Pitch tomorrow morning. Best of luck, folks.